I'm going to tell you a story, and you tell me if you relate. The day I started kindergarten, my dad, who was a columnist at the time, wrote a story for the local newspaper about how the bus driver commended me as I climbed off. He told my mother, "She's not a child, she's a little adult." He also lamented about how fast I was growing up and chastised himself for choosing work over being present for this once-in-a-lifetime first day of school moment. And then less than a year later, he would move out, give up custody, and move halfway across the country. Nevertheless, being a little adult became a hallmark of my identity. I spent all of my school years as one of the youngest of my peer group. I took pride in being mature for my age and responsible beyond my years. In 4th and 5th grade, I sometimes sat in on my mother's college classes, listening to the professors talk about Shakespeare and theology and pretending that I was also a university student. When friends in my 20s and 30s marveled at being full-fledged adults with all of the attendant adult rights and responsibilities, I would just shrug because I always felt like an adult. So imagine my surprise when I haughtily informed my therapist that I was a very mature and responsible child. And she simply raised an eyebrow and said, "Were you?" That was not the commendation that I had been hoping for. She said, "Were you mature and responsible? Or were you just a normal child who was forced to take on adult levels of responsibility?" I thought about that for a while. And I realized, well, shit. It's probably that second one. Before that discussion, I would have told you that I always felt like an adult. Always. But that's not really the truth. What was really happening was I was acting like an adult and thinking like an adult, or how I imagined an adult would think. I was taking on responsibilities and considering implications and putting others before myself and analyzing repercussions. And all the while inside, I was feeling like a child, lost and overwhelmed and adrift and drowning. And as I got older, those feelings never went away. Being a child adult led to me becoming an adult child. Does that strike a chord with you? Even a part of it? I didn't make up the term adult child. It was coined by the organization Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families, also known as the ACA. They have a whole laundry list of adult child symptoms. Literally, they call it the laundry list. But before we get to that list, let's define what it means to be an adult child. And we'll talk about why it happens, and then I'll tell you how I'm working to recover from it and to rebuild, or really just build, my trust in myself. And this is the point where I feel compelled to tell you I'm not a therapist, licensed or otherwise. I am just a person with mental illness trying to get to the bottom of how my brain works and why it does the things it does. And I am here sharing it with you because maybe it'll make you feel less alone. In general, the term adult child or adult child syndrome refers to, and I'm quoting the Newport Institute here, an inability to navigate adult decisions and relationships due to the long-term impact of childhood trauma. The ACA has a similar definition. They say that an adult child is, quote, someone whose actions and decisions as an adult are guided by childhood experiences grounded in self-doubt or fear. This is important. An adult child isn't someone who collects Funko Pops or reads comic books or who still lives with their parents in their 30s. It isn't someone who acts like a child or enjoys childish things. An adult child in this context is someone who never really learned to process emotions and trust themselves in an adult way. So back to that ACA laundry list. I just want to highlight a few of these that I've found very true to myself, but here's the whole list. Not all of these apply to me. Not all of them apply to any one individual, but I just want to highlight a few that really struck a chord with me. We became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. I keep coming back to a moment when I was in a dance class, probably in my 30s, and my teacher commented, "Some of us have to dance because we couldn't imagine life without it." And I said, "Yes, I feel that way too." I don't feel that way, not really. But at that moment, I thought I might. I thought I could, maybe. And I definitely knew that's how she wanted me to feel, so I embodied it. It's so often been true that not knowing who I was really, I just figured I might as well be whoever the people around me wanted. We are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. I can sense anger a mile away. On the rare occasion that my husband snaps at me, I leave the room in tears. I feel 6 years old and unsafe and unlistened to. I also bend over backwards not to make mistakes. I don't go anywhere without researching first. I don't make arguments I can't back up. I'll do anything to avoid being criticized, to avoid having a voice raised in my direction, having harsh words said to me, because they will stay with me forever. We have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it's easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us not to look too closely at our own faults. Yes. We have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhood and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much. Yes. We get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves instead of giving in to others. Yes. We judge ourselves harshly and have a very low sense of self-esteem. I've talked about all of these numerous times on this channel because they are all symptoms I've recognized and have been working on. You can check out the mental health list to hear me talk endlessly about this stuff. Also, before I continue, can you take a moment right now to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed? You have no idea how much that helps me to reach a larger audience. Adult child syndrome, this laundry list of characteristics, does not just come from having an alcoholic parent. Maybe you had a parent with a substance use disorder, or maybe you had a parent who struggled with their own mental health, or perhaps they suffered their own abuse and neglect in their childhood, resulting in intergenerational trauma. Any of those circumstances limit a parent's ability to provide a stable and nurturing environment. And that leaves kids like me, and maybe like you, to grow up feeling unsteady, conditioned to distrust any sense of stability, and really practiced at suppressing any emotion that might upset our precarious balance. We decide before we're even ready to take care of ourselves that it is our job to hold up the sky.
I mean, next you're gonna tell me that Tiblin isn't really holding up the sky.
Okay, well,
She's not?
And that's a responsibility we continue to bear a long time after we should have learned that sky holding is not anyone's job.
I'm sorry, I'm not doing what?
I wish I could tell you that having made all these realizations, having done the work with the therapist to make the connection between these reactions and my past experiences, that the solution is in the acknowledgement. But that's only part of the truth, because learning to trust yourself to create balance and stability is not easy. just thinking about it prompts this instinctual pushback in me. Like, I can't do that. It terrifies me. Even though I've spent decades doing all of the adult things, they still feel too heavy because I am still trying to hold up the sky instead of simply being responsible for my own well-being. So here's what I'm doing now. I'm practicing taking care of myself first. I'm practicing acknowledging my own adulthood and the adulthood of all of those people around me. I'm practicing feeling, just feeling. And one finger at a time, I'm letting go of the sky, trusting it to hold itself up. For me, the healing is happening because of a combination of awareness and practice. Healing is hard and slow, and invisible healing from a mental illness is, I think, harder and slower. Maybe it will take a lifetime of awareness and practice to truly feel whole. Or maybe I never will. But even if that's true, I can say with absolute certainty that being on the path is better than not having taken the first step. And with that, until next time, I am wishing you love and joy and all of those good things. And I can't wait to talk to you again.